discipline is doing what you need to do instead of what you want to do sometimes. Discipline is going to be there for you on the hard days when stuff goes wrong and like everything's like kind of just like not like going well for you. Well, you look and you dwell into that discipline that is going to push you forward to do what you need to do. So let's look at your weekly measurements. Oh, you still lost an inch on your waist. Well, guess what that means? We've now increased muscle mass and we've decreased adipose fat tissue. No matter what, there's always something you can do. There's always something that is in your control, even if like you're sick, even if like anything's going wrong, even if like you don't have the money to do something or whatever, there's always something that you can control. If you can take away one variable, you can change your life.
Chatto Monk, welcome to the show.
Yo, Carlo, thank you for having me, my man.
Chatto, in a few sentences, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
All right, guys, what's going on? My name is Chatto Monk. I am a online fitness and nutrition coach. I'm also a men's physique competitor. I teach men the discipline it takes to see their abs without having to give up burgers or dessert.
I love it. And we're going to talk about your physique show experience in a second here. But you mentioned a keyword. When I was doing research on you, it came up a couple of times. I mean, your podcast is named this. I'm giving it away already. And your program, uses this word as well. But talk to me about discipline, Chatto. What's your take on discipline?
Man, I think discipline is the most important personality trait a person can have. Like when it comes down to it, discipline is the top tier to make sure that you are getting what you need to get done. Like if you look at any person that is successful in their life, no matter what it is, say you're in school right now, say you're working, say you're an entrepreneur, discipline is what's going to take you to that next level and make sure that you do everything that you need to. It is the number one thing that guarantees success. And like basically to sum it up, like discipline is doing what you need to do instead of what you want to do sometimes.
Knowing the difference between what you want now and what you want the most.
Exactly, my man. Yeah, like knowing that like what you need to do is going to progress you further in your career, in your life, in your studies, whatever it takes, in your fitness, it's going to push you further than like, oh, like I want to do this right now, so I'm just going to do it. So
delayed gratification is a term that I love to throw out to my clients. It's not like you're depriving yourself of whatever is in front of you. It's kind of thinking long-term, playing the long game and kind of just going after what you really want the most, right? Instead of what this little carrot or I don't know, candy that's in front of
100%.
You right now, if you will.
Yeah. So like having like something that you're pushing forward to, like that is going to make you proud in a long-term solution, not just like, okay, yeah. Like say like even like food, for instance, like if I'm going to order out, like that is instantly gratifying myself to like, okay, this is going to taste good. But it's like, if I eat well and make it good for me and like make it tasty, well, guess what? It's going to help me with my fitness goals. It's going to help me make sure that I'm taking care of my body as well.
Chatto, talk to me about what's the relationship between motivation and discipline?
This is a great question. And I absolutely love talking about this because it's such a crucial factor because everyone always says like, oh, I don't have motivation to do this. I don't have motivation to do this. When I look at motivation, motivation's a great place to start. Like motivation makes you feel good. It's a warm feeling in your body. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm ready to take this first step. And that's great. You get your foot in the door, you take that first step, but discipline is going to be there for you on the hard days when stuff goes wrong and like everything's like kind of just like not like going well for you. Well, you look and you dwell into that discipline that is going to push you forward to do what you need to do.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've always said that, I mean, there's a time and place for motivation for a lot of people. It's what gets your foot at the door, but I feel like it's even more important to practice the skill of discipline, right? Because discipline is what builds consistency, and consistency done over time is how you get results. The problem with motivation I've found, and you can give your take on this, motivation is a state of mind, right? It runs out. That's the biggest problem with it. I've never had to convince a client who's motivated that, oh, you should eat healthy, right? You probably shouldn't binge eat, or you should probably do your workouts and whatnot. It's a lot easier to do things when you're motivated. It's when that motivation runs out, right? To me, that's where the journey starts for a lot of people.
100%. I couldn't say that better myself. Like, yeah, the motivation, it's going to fade. It's going to be gone once in a while. It's not going to be there. But that discipline is going to be what's going to push you forward.
For sure. Now, Chatto, how does somebody get started with being a more disciplined human being?
So that is a great question as well, because like when it does come to discipline, I always look at like successful habits. I look at disciplined habits. So like starting yourself out with something that is very small and really just like pushing yourself forward into some situation, because what that's going to do is that's going to open up your mind to more disciplinary habits. So like something as simple as making your bed in the morning. That is showing discipline
Yes.
to having a clean room, man, right? Like it is just
Thank God I made my bed.
I love that you made your bed. That's so perfect. But yeah, man, like even just like something as simple as that, because as it goes, like the way you do one thing is the way you're going to do everything. If you are disciplined in one habit of making sure that your room is nice and tidy, especially when you go on live stream, then that's going to be something that's going to dwell into other, or it's going to spread into other areas of your life. And that discipline is going to take you where you need to get to.
I completely agree. I love that you said just starting small. Chatto, I am so obsessed with literally just starting with doing one thing. This is what I preach actually to a lot of my coaching clients is, especially if, they just haven't gotten into the habit of working out. I mean, you and I, exercise for us, it's a habit now, right? It's part of us on a cellular level. It's like brushing our teeth. Every day you do something, you move, right? But for a lot of people, there's a big gap between where we're at right now and where a lot of people are starting. What I tell people, and I'm a big fan of this concept actually, is to do a micro workout. It's just, 1 to 2 minute workouts just to get somebody started. But even that, I take it a step further. And you know what? I ask people to do one push-up. Give me one push-up, right? Give me one air squat. Go for a walk for 1 minute. Meditate for 1 minute. Because I don't know if you're familiar with this concept of no 0 days. You want to string a bunch of ones, right? Even if it's just one, because one is better than none.
100%.
Right. And it starts to build credibility within yourself. And the more credibility you build within yourself, to me, I feel like that's how an identity shift happens in someone's life.
100%. And that's literally habit stacking as well. It's literally, yeah, you're just taking that one thing and you are building on it consistently. And that habit is going to continuously grow in your life. And like you mentioned, just doing one, like I bet you when you say to someone, do one push-up, they're going to give you two.
Yes, absolutely. That's actually what I tell someone is just do one, because I know you and I have been doing this for a long time. If somebody does one, they're going to think right away, oh, that was easy. Okay, maybe I can do another one. And then another one. Next thing you know, you're almost tricking them into doing more, but you're setting the barrier so low for that individual that they can't help but feel good about that decision, right? You're just kind of guiding them.
You're making it their idea at the end of the day.
Yes.
Like you're literally putting an idea into their mind of like, okay, yeah, how was one? One was easy. Sweet. Then how many more can you do? Well, that's only like my mind is the only limitation towards that. Like I only can think of how many I can do. Like, well, I'm going to try it. Why not?
Exactly. The hardest part, right, for a lot of people is just getting started. Once you kind of get that momentum going, I mean, like you said, what's the limit?
Right? 100%.
Chatto, guys, you should check out his social media handles. This guy has a very impressive physique. What does your diet look like these days?
So, man, I will be completely honest. Like everything else, I'm a creature of habit. I'm very consistent. I thrive off of consistency and keeping things the same. And that is something that I always do. And so like I eat very delicious food, I'm not gonna lie. But I start every day eating the same breakfast. I eat the same lunch. I eat the same dinner. I have the same snacks. I have the same routine because I know it's going to guarantee me results. So I eat literally like protein oats every morning. I love it because like one, it's going to be getting me my macros. It's getting me my micronutrients. It's going to be healthy for me. And as well, it's going to progress me towards my fitness goals.
What about lunch and dinner?
So my lunch is always a quinoa bowl. I love quinoa bowls. Then I can throw a bunch of veggies in there, have some chicken in there, some avocado for some healthy fats. I love potatoes. I love fries. I'm not gonna lie, but like I as well just like make, yeah, right. And so like I have an air fryer, and so I always cook potatoes for myself. Like use minimal oils so that I can just like throw it in there and it's perfectly cooked as well. Like just like insane. If you don't have an air fryer, like that's top priority.
I was just gonna say that Chatto Monk is flexing his air fryer on us, you guys. You know what? It's honestly such a great investment, and it pays for itself because of, the menu that it opens up for you.
100%.
And
100%.
you can make like all these healthy meals that are guilt-free when you have an air fryer. So you guys, quick plug in, get an air fryer. You save money. And I've always said that, whenever, to me personally, right? I mean, everyone's different, but when it comes to investing in something that's going to contribute to making my life easier in terms of improving my health, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have a big party budget. I don't have a big liquor budget. I don't have a big shopping budget, but you can bet that, like I said, if it has anything to do with improving my health, taking my health and fitness to the next level, the answer is always yes.
Yeah. There's nothing stopping me when it comes to that. It's like, okay, cool. What's the price? All right, sweet. It's already there. It's already said. I've already bought
You don't
it.
even
like,
look.
I asked the question just so I'm like, okay, like how much? They're like, yeah, it's this. I'm like, done.
I don't know if you do this, but anytime I discover something new, something that would benefit me, I automatically think about my parents right away. I'm like, oh my goodness, my parents would benefit from this, right? Because if I benefit from this, somebody that's elderly, absolutely 10x probably would be
100%, because like at the end of the day they might not have heard about it, or they might like sometimes when it comes to like technology or like new like advances in technology, they're just not there for all like the new tech, and it's just like, hey, this could be something that could change so much of you. Like my dad like got an Instapot for last year for Christmas. He was like blown away. He's like, Instapots are insane.
Is there a supplement that you're really excited about, or a certain food that you're really excited about that you recently discovered where you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I started taking this or I started eating this a lot sooner?
So a supplement that I'm really excited about is like, so like I love talking about mindset. I love talking about mental health because like I have a lot of mental health illnesses that I deal with on a daily basis. And one thing that like I've found that has been really helpful for me getting like mental clarity, really a lot more focus, a lot more brain energy, is nootropic products, like really taking care of my mind. And that alone right there has shifted so much of my energy, my focus, my clarity, like everything, like the way that I feel as well, my mood across the board. Like, so nootropics are definitely like that newer product. Like I just started taking them this year and so many benefits from them.
I love it. Is there like a certain brand that you like, certain kind?
Yeah, so I did actually start taking Vivid by Vandal. It's a local Canadian company, and like, yeah, there's like their ingredient list is all natural ingredients. Everything is super clean. That's like their big thing they pride themselves on, is just like clean energy, like no nonsense ingredients, and just making sure that, yeah, like you are getting exactly what you are looking for, and there's no fillers, no garbage, no nothing. Like it is just pure. It's great.
I don't know if the audience has seen the movie Limitless, but anything that can improve your cognitive function, as long as obviously it's safe, the ingredients are safe, and all that, to me, I'm automatically interested in it.
Oh yeah, like when I saw Limitless for the first time, I was like, okay, as soon as they drop this, as soon as like FDA approval goes on Limitless pills, like I will definitely take them. And this is literally what I feel like when I do take nootropics. It just feels like I'm opening my brain to new ideas, new creativity, and just new like mental pathways that like I just haven't had before, and it's insane.
I love it. I'll have to check it out for sure. Chatto, what does your training pattern look like these days?
So I just finished up my competition prep. I was in there, or my competition was at the start of November. So post competition, I am focusing on just trying to build as much as possible. So lots of high reps, lots of low weight. So I'm doing anywhere between like 15 to 30 reps of an exercise in a set, and just lower weight. And it's been absolutely insane. And I feel like my muscles are exploding at some points.
Again, I'm just going to repeat, you guys. Chatto has a very impressive physique. I should probably put a shirt on right now. How often do you train, Chatto?
So I train 6 days a week. I
6 days a week.
do, yeah. So I do a double PPL schedule. So push pull legs twice a week. This is just so that I can make sure that I am hitting my body parts multiple times throughout the week, so I can focus on maximum growth.
Do you do cardio?
I do cardio. Yes, I do quite a bit of cardio. I start every day with cardio. Like we were talking about habit stacking and everything. I'm very adamant on doing cardio in the morning, just because it starts my day. It gets me feeling like I'm ready to go. It really like supercharges my body and makes sure that like I'm kickstarting my metabolism. So every morning I do 20 minutes of core and cardio every morning.
Do you go on a machine? Like, are you on a Stairmaster, treadmill?
Yeah, so I do 10 minutes of skipping. So I'll do interval skipping, not 10 minutes straight because I'm not to that level yet. One day maybe. But yeah, so I'll do interval skipping. And so I'll do high intensity intervals with skipping and core. And then I'll do about like a 20-minute walk while I'm just replying to all my messages on all my social medias and everything like that, just so I can stay active while I'm taking care of a lot of like my social networking.
Multitasking, hey?
Got to stay on it, my man.
I love it. I love it. Chatto, talk to me more about your physique competition. What are some lessons that you learned? It was your first one, right?
Yeah, so it was my first physique competition. I was super excited going into it, and I did learn a lot. And like I learned a lot about myself as well. Like I like going into it, I kind of brushed it off. I was like, I don't know how hard this is gonna be. I don't know how difficult it is. Like I don't know like how like structured it's gonna be. And so I was like, I'm a pretty structured guy. I stick to everything pretty tight. Like I'll go into it. And like a lesson I learned was like how hard it actually is. Like how much you have to push yourself. Like I was doing an hour of cardio a day and 2 hours of lifting a day, 6 days
Wow.
a week. Yeah. So I was in the gym for 3 hours minimum a week, plus all like my content time and all of that. And like the discipline it took to wake up every morning at 4:45 in the morning to start my cardio at 5 a.m. so that I could be done for 6 so that I could start my work day. I wasn't expecting it to be that much. And like it was hard, but I learned that discipline factor. I learned how to really push myself when it was difficult on the days that I didn't want to get out of bed, on the days that I was just like feeling low, feeling tired, like such low energy, just how to really push myself to that absolute limit where I think that I can't give anything more and I just dig deeper. And that was like the big phrase, like the big 2 words of my entire prep, just dig deeper.
You brought up a couple of things there, and I kind of just wanted to highlight something that you said about, to me personally, I think that bad workouts are actually way more important than the good workouts. If you had a bad workout, that means you still showed up to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, waking up at 4:45 in the morning to do your cardio, you still showed up. You still
Yep.
showed up for yourself. You're still building, again, a bunch of ones instead of a
Yep.
zero, right? Bad days to me are way more important, right? And
100%.
like you said, bad days kind of, re-emphasize the importance of being disciplined, right? That's what gets you through a bad day, a bad workout, is because you're disciplined. You're still showing up for yourself.
100%, because that end goal is more important to you than the pain it may
There you
cause
go.
you at that in that one instance. And like I remember even like for this, like there was one day I was in the gym, like, and this one sticks out to me like super hard. Like I like had just met this guy like probably the week before, and we were talking about my competition and everything. And so like this following week, I was like super drained, like so unbelievably gassed, and like I looked like I was about to fall over because I was just like so tired, so ready to be done. And I was finishing up my chest day, and I had calves at the very end of it, and I was like just sauntering around, just like so done. And I was like, he looks at me, he's like, dude, are you all right? Like, what's going on? I was like, ah, man, I think I have to cut my workout early, and like I think I have to go home. Like, I don't have the energy to do calves. And he looked at me, and he didn't know this at the time. He looked at me, and he was like, yo, dig deeper. And I was like, oh, dude, you got me. I'm here. We're still pushing. We're digging deeper. We're getting it done. We're getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need that little bit of an extra push. And that's why, to me, I don't want to overemphasize what we do. This is why it's so important to have a coach, to have somebody that to guide you through, whenever you're having a tough time.
My coach during competition prep. Yeah. When I had my bad days, I'd send him a message like, hey, man, like I'm super low. He's like, so? Like, what do you mean you're super low? This is what competition prep is. You got to go. You got to get this done. I'm like, all right, done. Like, that's all I needed. That's that drive that I needed.
Exactly. Because if you did go home, your competitors are still at the gym working.
That's it, man. Even if you think you're the best, everyone else is working just as hard, if not harder than you.
Chatto, what do you think of counting calories and macros? Do you think that it's all about just a calorie deficit, or does the quality of the food matter?
So this brings up a great question that I brought or that I had from one of my clients actually. So like counting calories and macros, like it is a very important lesson to learn. 100%. I agree that it is, because like at the end of the day, like a lot of people don't know how much like they're actually putting into their body, how much food like everything is. And like when you look at what like nutrition tracking is, if you like look at like, oh, what a serving of peanut butter is, that's always one that I always toss out to my clients, because I'm just like, do you know how much peanut butter you're actually having, or like are you just saying it? And then they're like, oh, like it's a
Spoonful.
tablespoon. Exactly. A spoonful versus a tablespoon. And I'm like, there's a big difference here, guys. So take a look at that and then tell me which one you think you're having. And they're like, uh-oh. So I run like 14-day free challenges for a bunch of like new clients that want to come on and like really like learn my style, and like so I can give back to the community a little bit more as well. And the amount of challengers that come into my challenges that have never done any food tracking, and they're just blown away by the amount of food that they're eating, or by the amount of like, oh, I'd like just put like a little bit of oil in the pan. And I'm like, but like how much oil? And they're like, oh wow, like 400 calories worth of oil. And I'm like, well, there's going to be a big factor there. And so it's like it's so much more than just being on a deficit, because like when it comes down to it, like calories really, like, yeah, calories will dictate your weight 100%, but macronutrients will dictate your body composition. It will take it
Yes.
from like just like looking at, okay, yeah, I lost a pound, to okay, I lost half a pound of fat, or I lost a pound of fat, or I'm able to retain this amount of muscle mass. So even though it's just like some people are like, oh, like being in a deficit is being in a deficit, but it's like it's not. If you do take it to that next level, if you are looking for a body composition change, then macronutrients are very important for it.
I completely agree. I think we need to reframe people's mindset around weight loss, because you could technically cut off an arm and you say you lost weight. You know what I mean? But it's all about body recomposition, right? Hitting your protein target for the day, making sure that, you're tracking your fat and carbs. I've always said that depending on where you're at with your goals, you don't need to necessarily track your macros and calories every day. You just need to be in the ballpark. Right? You kind of just need to be in the ballpark. There's a big difference between being in the ballpark and being completely outside the stadium, right? It's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. Like you said, when they've never tracked their calories and their macros, to actually see how much they think they're eating versus how much they're actually eating. People are so bad when it comes to reporting. They underestimate how much they eat and they overestimate their movement.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be the difference between, somebody being stuck because they think they're doing all the right things versus actually knowing your numbers. There's a saying out there, right, that you can't control, but you can't measure. I don't necessarily tell people to do this every day, but like I said, you just need to be in the ballpark, right? And it starts by knowing your numbers.
I 100% agree with that. And that's a great point, because yeah, like counting calories isn't something that you need to do every day. And it's not something that's like something you have to do for the rest of your life as well. Once you learn it, once you understand it, once you can like start like, yeah, eyeballing it smartly, like actually understanding what it is and like looking at it and be like, hey, I know exactly what that is. Like right now, if I look at a chicken breast, I can tell you what 150 grams is. I can look at it and just be like, okay, cool.
There you go.
I still put it on the scale because I need to, but like I still do that just for my mind. But if I look at something, I'm like, okay, cool. That is between 120, 150, or that is between X and X. And like, I can see it now because I've done it for so long, because I know now what is actually going to go into each meal and like how much it really is. And like something you brought up as well is like food quality. So like food quality also is like super, super important, because like you can fill your macronutrients with like chips and it would still be carbs. It would still be fats. And you could fill it with carbs and fats from chips. And like, I'm going to say, like, I had a client that like she was coming into my program and she was coming from a different coach. And this other coach was very just, okay, macronutrients are macronutrients. But then when she came into my program, she was eating tortilla chips and ground beef every day. And I was like, so like, yes, your macronutrients are hit, but are tortilla chips going to be the best way to fill your carbohydrates? Why don't we switch that to rice? And then you could have ground beef and rice. And then you have a ground beef bowl. And like, that's going to be a lot better for you. And like, another thing is like the way you prepare your food as well. Like a big trend on TikTok right now is people saying like, oh yeah, you can just get all your protein from drinking egg whites. And
Oh my goodness.
it hurts me, man. It hurts me. And so like I had another client that was like, yeah, like I'm just going to like just like put a bunch of egg whites on my plan. I'm just gonna drink it out of the carton. And I was like, absolutely not. If you cook those egg whites, I'll put them on your plan. But if you're just gonna drink them out of the carton, it's not gonna happen because the way that your body digests it, if it's undercooked, you're not gonna digest it properly. If it's overcooked, you're gonna lose nutrients. So it's like you have to actually be cooking things properly to make sure that you are actually getting the nutrients that you're looking for.
I agree. And sustainability as well plays a big factor here. I mean, can you really go the rest of your life drinking egg whites? I don't
I
know. I
hope
mean,
not.
maybe some, maybe some people can, but I don't know, man. That's a little weird. I think a really good goal that a lot of people should strive for is, building consistency through discipline when it comes to their food, knowing their numbers. But eventually, you want to get into just intuitive eating,
Mhm.
right? Where you kind of just learn and listen to what your body needs because you've made all the necessary adjustments to your diet that your satiety hormones are actually on point and everything else kind of just falls into place when you get your macros on point. But again, it starts with knowing your numbers, tracking your calories properly.
Exactly. And like as like nutrition coaching goes, like that's like the level that you shoot for all your clients. You want them to be able to eat intuitively, to listen to their body, to eat full like whole foods that are nutritious and good, like delicious food. Because like
Exactly.
but it all starts with a starting point. Like some people that come into my program, like they need to start at meal plans because they just don't know how to prepare food for themselves. But then we take it to the next level and we look at macronutrient targets. Okay, sweet. Once you learn that, then we can try intuitive eating and see how your body reacts to that. See if you can listen to your body. And then we'll teach you how to really listen to your body, take in those cues because satiation cues are so huge and really understanding when you are actually hungry or when you're like bored of hungry, right?
It's a big difference between those two things.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow, what else is a common diet mistake that you see a lot of people make?
Definitely like eyeballing without knowing. So I was talking to one of my best friends yesterday actually, and I was asking him about his diet because he was like, "Yeah, man, like I'm putting on weight when I want to be losing it." And I was like, "Okay, cool, man. Like let's talk. Let's talk about this." I was like, "So like, what does like your dinner look like?" And he was like, "Oh, I have chicken and rice." And I was like, okay, how much chicken and how much rice? And he's like, oh, I have like 1 cup of rice, but I think the rice is too much. I'm like, okay, don't take away from the rice. Don't take away from the rice. But like, how much chicken are you having? And he's like, oh, 2 breasts. And I was like, okay, how big are these breasts? Are they flat breasts? Are they full breasts? Are they thick? Are they juicy? He's like, oh yeah, they're pretty thick and juicy. And I was like, okay, cool. So I sent him over a visual guide, just like a visual representation guide of like how to eyeball things well and like see like what that would be like. And so like 3 ounces of chicken is like equivalent to like the size of a deck of cards, right? So I asked him, I was like, so how many decks of cards of chicken are you having? And he's like, 3 decks of cards. And I was like, oh man, like you're going
Wow.
overboard. I'm like, how much of your plate is chicken and how much of it is rice? And how much of it is vegetables? And he's like, probably half chicken, a quarter rice, and a quarter veggies. And I was like, okay, man, we need to work on that.
That's a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And I love protein, but that's a lot. I think a lot of people also forget to include condiments and oil. And I don't know what else they put on their plate with what they think they're eating, right? Chicken and rice. Okay, are you using ketchup, right? How much oil are you using? Drinks as well. For some reason, people forget to include drinks, especially liquid calories,
Oh yeah.
when on their diet. And okay, I have a big problem with this as well, is people seem to think that just because it says diet, whatever version of that drink means that they can just drink it all day. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like that. Like, yeah, you can treat yourself to it, but it all comes down to discipline and balance. It comes down to, okay, yeah, like have one of those for dinner, like enjoy it and have it with a meal. But you shouldn't be having it like 6 times a day. You shouldn't be having a
Yeah.
case of diet soda through a week. Like you shouldn't be
A lot
doing
of
that.
people are addicted to diet soda. Like it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
insane. I've had a few people come into my program and they don't drink water. They drink Diet Coke
Dude, that is
because it's
insane.
0 calories.
Yeah, because they just like they hear what the media says about it and they're like, oh, it's Coke Zero. It's fine. It's zero
Yeah.
calories. There's nothing wrong with it.
I've always said that, nothing that sweet gets a free pass in your system. It
Oh, I love
it
that.
doesn't work that way. Your body's a little bit smarter than
Yeah.
that.
Your body is going to realize what is going on, and they're like, maybe this isn't right.
And it's going to respond accordingly in a negative way when it comes to your weight loss goals.
100%. There definitely is an amount of like, so like when you look at diet sodas or even like just, like sweeteners in general, like artificial sweeteners in general, like, okay, yeah, sure. Like somebody might be putting like artificial sweeteners in their coffee, let's say. But like how much artificial sweetener are you putting in and is it correct? Like there's, I think it's Sugar Twin. If you have 2 packs of Sugar Twin, it's worse than like 10 grams of sugar. Like it's insane. It's so bad for
Exactly.
your body to like have like that amount of concentrated sweetener. And it's insane because like people will overdo it because they're like, oh, it's 0 calories, so it's fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies out there that shows that artificial sweeteners destroys the gut microbiome. It's just not good for you. As an occasional treat, yes. I mean, there's a time and place for everything. It's better than drinking 6 cans of Coke every day, but it's still not optimal. There's a big difference between those two things. A lot of people are still under the belief in this whole concept of counting the calories burned from exercise, right? I mean, yes, it does play a role, but you can't, there's popular saying, right? You can't outrun a bad diet, right? A lot of people view exercise as a punishment, as a way to burn off whatever food they had, right? So they kind of just are on this roller coaster ride of, having a donut, and then they think they can just do an hour of cardio just so they can justify that one donut. I mean, to me, that's not a very good return on your investment. You're doing an hour of hard cardio only burns like 400 calories. That's one Krispy Kreme donut. That is a very poor return on your investment.
That's
just so you can justify
return. Like, I definitely agree with you. And 100%, when you're looking at like the actual counter of those calories burned, like if you're going off of like, so like with like most treadmills or like bikes, all like cardio equipment, they might have like that cardio or the calories burned during this exercise. But like, is that correct? No. Is your Apple Watch even correct? No, it's not. Like at the end of the day, there's so many more factors going into it that aren't in play that they can't control or they can't take that data in. So they can't really give you actually what it is. They'll give you a good ballpark. Like even the like Harvard education website, it has a ballpark number for people for like general activities. And like you were saying before, there's a difference between being in the ballpark and being outside of the ballpark. But like this ballpark is very, very large. Like I don't watch baseball, but like this is whatever, like that big green wall baseball diamond.
There you go.
It's a big stadium. And like you can be so far under, so far over. And like it's not something that you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on the fact that you went in and you did it. You went in and you had the time to go in and do some cardio or do a weightlifting session. And like you actually did it. Like that's awesome.
Exercise is all about movement and building and maintaining muscle. You should not treat it as a punishment of counting however many calories you burn, again, so you can justify whatever crappy food you had before or you're about to have. Chatto, what do you tell people that want to tone?
So I ask them straight up. I'm like, so do you know what toning means? Like, do you know what like it means to be toned? And usually they say no. Like usually the answer is they don't know what it actually means to be toned or like what, like, okay, cool. Like, so what is your definition of tone? So that like I can like decrease my fat. Okay, so what toning really means is decreasing your fat, but increasing your muscle size. So what we do for toning is we do resistance training. Like that is going to be the big aspect of it. You are going to be decreasing your fat, and increasing your muscle size so that your muscular definition will show through. And that is what toning really is. That is how you tone your body.
With that definition, I have been trying to tone since I was 18, right? And I think that a common misconception, especially a lot of women have this misconception that they're going to get bulky when they start lifting weights, right? That's why they want to tone. Chatto, when did you start lifting?
I started lifting consistently at 18. First time I hit the gym was probably 15 though.
Cool. I have been lifting since I was 18. I'm 34 now, and I look like this, you guys. Like, it's very hard to put on muscle. That takes, looking like the Hulk or like an Amazonian warrior, whatever, that takes years of discipline and dedication. People should not be afraid to lift weights. You get
100%.
such a better ROI versus spending an hour doing cardio. Not that I'm not saying that cardio is bad, but you get such better ROI, honestly, doing 10 minutes of intense resistance training versus an hour of hard cardio.
100%. You are going to burn more calories and increase your lean muscle mass. Like it's going to be such a big change. And like you brought up, yeah, like it takes so long to build size. Like building size doesn't just happen overnight. And like I've got some clients that are like, they'll be gaining half a pound or a pound in a week. And they're like, oh, like I'm super disappointed by that. And I'm like, what do you mean you're disappointed by that? Like that is a huge gain. Do you know how big a pound of muscle is? So like, yeah, when you do like client side by sides and you show them, okay, cool, you gained 4 pounds this month. This is what you look like between the two photos. You've like gained so much size. You just don't see it on like that scale basis.
I agree. And another thing that we need to stop basing all our self-worth is whatever number it says on the scale. Because like you said, if you gained a pound of muscle in a month, which is a lot, and you lost a pound of fat, the scale will say the same number. But that's why it's so important to also take measurements and pictures, because that's how you get that toned look. Is muscle is a lot denser than fat, right? It might not show up on the scale, but if you look at yourself in the mirror, you take pictures, you take weekly pictures, you're going to see that maybe your pants fit better, right? Your clothes are a little bit looser. A lot of people are so obsessed with whatever number on the scale. And like I said, there's a time and place for it, especially if you have a lot of weight to lose. It feels good to see that number go down. But to me, that's number 4, okay? The way I see it, number 1, how do you feel? Tell me a more important metric than how you feel. I'll wait.
That's the number 1 right there. Literally.
Right? How do you feel? Measurements. So take measurements of your chest, your waist, your hips, thighs, arms, and whatnot. Pictures, and then the scale, right? It's number 4.
Yeah. I would even like, put in like what your strength is. Like, are you seeing strength increases? Do you have more energy throughout your day? Is your daily life getting easier? Can you pick up your kids without ease?
Yes.
Or like without any problems? Like some people, when they're losing weight, being able to walk up the stairs without having to catch their breath is like the biggest victory that I can ever wish for a client. Like it is so gratifying to hear like, hey, I went for a walk and I didn't have to stop every 5 minutes. I didn't have to stop at the end of every block. I was able to do 20 minutes of cardio, like just going for a walk or going for a light jog. And I didn't feel like I got run over by a car.
I agree. Yeah. Non-scale victories are where it's at.
Dude, non-scale victories are what it's all about. When people really understand that, like when they can see their non-scale victories, that's really what keeps them going. And like that is like more of a motivating factor at the end of the day than, oh, like my weight didn't change this week. Okay, cool. But what did? Like, let's look at what else did. Let's look at your weekly side-by-side photos. Let's look at your weekly measurements. Oh, you still lost an inch on your waist. Well, guess what that means? We've now increased muscle mass and we've decreased adipose fat tissue because now your waist is coming in.
I think we need to change the paradigm that a lot of people have as well. We're so obsessed with losing weight. I feel like we should put just as much emphasis on getting stronger.
100%. I definitely agree with that. Like being able to like show that like, yeah, your strength gains are going up. Like that's such a crucial factor. Like I was looking at a statistic the other day of like how many of like the percent of population can like bench 225. It's like less than 1% of the whole population of the world can bench 225. And like 225 is heavy. Like it's not like a light thing to just do. Like some people are like, oh yeah, like it's super easy. And I'm like, no, like it took you years of dedication to get yourself to that strength level. And if you're pushing past that, that's incredible. If you're not pushing that yet, that's still incredible that you're still letting yourself push towards that.
Absolutely. And I'm just being brutally honest with the audience. I cannot bench 225, you guys.
No, I don't think I can anymore either. I'm not going to lie.
Chatto, when I was doing my research on you, and you put out some pretty awesome content, but one thing stood out to me when I was reading up on you. Why are you thankful that you got ran over by a car?
So this is an interesting topic. I even laugh. I laugh to myself a little bit when I say this because like I am thankful I got run over by a car. Like
Wow.
it was a big turning point in my life. I had a lot of really bad habits. I was coming from working in the bar industry. I had a lot of alcohol abuse problems. Like I did have problems with drug abuse as well. And it was something that really turned my life around because I sat in my room by myself for weeks, for months on end because I was dealing with a
Wow.
concussion. I wasn't able to go out anywhere. Had to sit there and reflect. I wasn't able to watch TV. I wasn't able to do anything. I had to sit there and think. I had to think back about what I was doing in my life, what had been like the last couple of years of my life, what was going on, and where I was going to be proud of myself in the future. Was I going to be proud of myself for continuing on this path and continuing drinking, continuing with all these problems? Like, was this going to be something that was going to give me gratification in the end? Like say in even 5 years, 10 years. And like back before I got hit by a car, I always made this joke. It's really sad to say, but before I got hit by a car, I didn't think I was going to make it past the age of 30. Like I straight up told
Wow.
everyone around me, I was like, I don't expect myself to get past 30 because of the way that I live my life. I was living so fast. I was like literally living fast to die young. And this was one of those moments where I became thankful for everything that I do in my life. I became thankful for my health to the next level. And I was ready to really take a shift in everything that I was doing to really be able to focus on myself and make sure that I was healthy and doing things properly and really taking care of myself so that like if something like this was to happen again, like God forbid it, but like if it was to happen again, I'd be in a lot better of a situation. I wouldn't be going through withdrawals while I was going through my concussion syndrome. And like this would be such a different experience like if it was to happen today, but like I do not take anything away from that because it made me who I am today.
That's so powerful. It was your FTM, your this moment.
Yeah, man. Dude, it was literally like, okay, I'm fucking done with this life. Like
I
done.
love it. I personally gone through a few FTMs, and one of them actually was the one that triggered my weight loss transformation. My girlfriend at that time when I was 18 broke up with me, and I was 18. I was rocking a dad bod, a full dad bod, and I used that as motivation. We were talking about this earlier to become a better version of myself. That was actually what triggered the lifestyle change, the weight loss transformation that I was willing to put myself through. That fueled my discipline. So I
Yep.
had that FTM. I think that a lot of people need to go through something similar to. I'm not saying that people should go out to the street and get hit by a car or break up with their girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. But yeah, I feel like you need to have a why,
A hundred
right?
percent. As hard as it is to say, as bad as it is to say, trauma is something that really brings in why into such a bigger perspective for you. Like you mentioned, like, yeah, going through a breakup, that's giving you a new reason to really have a why. That's giving you a new light to be like, hey, now it's on me. Like, I don't have this other person is my significant other. I'm not like relying on them. I don't have them around. I have to give myself a new life. I need to give myself a new direction. I need to push myself in ways that I haven't before because now is my time. Why not?
A broken heart changes people, you guys, or with Chatto, a broken something when you got hit by a
Yeah.
car. Chatto, when I was doing my research on this was a pretty significant stat. Around 42% of North American adults say that they gained weight during this public health problem. 29 pounds is the average. I've seen reports of people gaining 50 pounds. We already
Yeah.
have a weight problem in this continent. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's even worse. I see a lot of your stuff, and you always post, your clients winning, your clients making these life-changing transformations. What's one thing that you could give somebody today who's watching or listening to this? What's one thing that you could give to that person to just get the needle moving in the right direction, just to get them started?
No matter what, there's always something you can do. There's always something that is in your control. And like, even if like you're sick, even if like anything's going wrong, even if like you don't have the money to do something or whatever, there's always something that you can control. Whether it's like, oh, okay, doing a little bit of exercise. Oh, I don't have a gym membership. Well, why not do a little bit of body weight? Like you can get a very inexpensive set of resistance bands online, like 30, $40, and you can be set up for an entire, like for tons of weight. Like I bought, I think one of my sets like was like $60 and I can't even max out these bands. Like it's insane. Like the weight on them is crazy. And
Yeah.
like even just having a small investment like that can really change it. But say you don't have that money. Well, then focus on something you can. Focus on your nutrition. That is something that you can always control. Like no matter what, that is something that you can take care of. I've got some clients that are like oil rig workers. And so like they work in a camp and they get their food given to them, but they can still take care of what the amounts of those foods they're eating. They can still look at how much food they're eating or take the more nutritious choice than having the wings or pizza every night or the fried chicken or whatever it may be. There's always going to be one healthier option or something you can control. Like you mentioned before, like the metric that you can't control is something that's unmeasured. There's always something you can measure. There's always something that you can take care of because without, like, if you can take away one variable, you can change your life.
Exactly. You're one decision away from a different life, is what I always say. Chatto, you've already dropped some incredible knowledge today. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about?
I'd like to ask you your opinion on protein intake, actually. What is your take on protein when it does come to muscle building?
I love this question. According to a lot of the protein experts that I've researched, Dr. Gabriel Lyon actually is the one that really kind of changed my paradigm with this, is that you can't just eat, a piece of meat or an egg and say that, oh yeah, I had some protein. There's a certain metric that you need to meet in order to trigger muscle protein synthesis, which is what you want. So according to the likes of Dr. Gabriel Lyon, you need to eat at least 30 to 50 grams of high quality protein per meal to trigger that. You need to get that bolus amount in one sitting. And that's the problem with the current narrative these days. There's a big push to limit your animal meat intake. And to me, that's one of the worst pieces of advice that you could ever give to someone, because meat is the most bioavailable protein source that you could eat. And to take that away from someone is, to me, is one of the worst pieces of advice that you could ever give to someone. Yes, there's definitely a problem with the massive feedlot production, right? But if we want to talk about sustainability, grass-fed and grass-finished, like pastured animals, are actually carbon negative, which means that they actually give back to the environment. So now it's really just a matter of not wanting to kill animals. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick, because a lot of people don't realize this. Okay, to all the vegans and vegetarians that's watching this that don't want to kill animals, if you're eating a bowl of something that's made out of grain or quinoa, how do you think that was harvested? Okay, if you've ever seen how they harvest corn and wheat, they have these big machines that are the size of a football field that'll just harvest everything, including squirrels, bugs, little rats and whatnot, right? So to me, the conversation is, how cute does the animal need to be? Yeah, do you kill one cow or do you kill thousands of animals? There's still death on a plate, right?
And I love that you brought up like vegans and vegetarians. So I personally was vegan and vegetarian for the last 2 years. And I had to shift from that when I was going into this competition prep. So I did my first competition prep in January of this year, and I was doing it as a vegan. I was completely vegan and I was doing competition prep. And it was so incredibly difficult. There's a 1% chance that I could actually get the amount of protein that I needed and have it that readily available for me. And getting lean protein without any carbohydrates or without any fats as a vegan is next to impossible. It's absolutely impossible across the board. And so like to get the amount of protein that I needed as a competitive bodybuilder, as a competitive physique competitor, like it was not a feasible choice for me. I was having so many protein supplements. I was just like trying to overdo it with that so I could get my protein amounts, but like it wasn't actually a possible choice. And so like when people say like, oh yeah, like you can still get your protein, or you still can get the amount of protein that you need as a vegan or a vegetarian. Yes, you can, but it's going to take a lot more work. It's going to be a lot harder for your system to digest. Like I was
to be perfect.
100%. And like the amount of time and effort and care that I put into every single meal was like tenfold to what I do now. Like it was insane. And like, so going into my prep, starting in August, I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not, I love the animals, but like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about your health. If this diet is making your life hard, it's making you miserable. I mean,
It was raising my cortisol level because my stress was so high because I was literally just so focused on this one mere
yeah,
factor. And I was like, but why am I doing this? It's really not sustainable. And like, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
absolutely. Now, Chatto, I asked all our guests this question. If you could go back in time, what's one piece of advice that you would give to your former self when you were just starting out?
So this is going to sound so biased, but I will give you the story first and then I'll tell you my answer. So coming out of high school, 18 years old, I was super into fitness. I was a soccer player growing up. And so I was into fitness and I was like, just like dead set. I was like, I'm in the gym all the time. I went and started working in the bar industry, started partying a lot. Guess what happened? I fell off and I woke up one day at 215 pounds.
Wow.
And so I just I blew up. I was just like a big dude. And so I was like, okay, there's something that needs to change. And the one thing that could have like either negated that whole process or even taking from my 215-pound body. And so I dropped 50 pounds from 215 down to 165.
Wow.
Did I need to drop all of that weight? Who knows? Who knows? I did it by myself. So I didn't know what to really do and what to really look out for. So if I had, biased as it may sound, if I had hired a coach, I would have known what to do. I would have known how to actually like how my body was responding to things. If I could have like lost 30 pounds and looked way better than I did at 165, at 185, but I wouldn't have known how to do that properly without hiring a coach. And I didn't do that. And like, you bet your ass, I hired a coach for competition prep because guess what? There's another set of eyes on me. There's somebody watching everything that I do. There's someone that's making sure that I don't get complacent. Someone that's making sure that I'm not eating out and just like, oh, like I can just skip this. But like having someone that knows a little bit more about the industry or just having that second set of eyes on you, just being like, hey, I can see that your water intake's a little bit too high, or I can see that you overdid it on carbohydrates last week. So we're going to drop those a little bit this week. Having that is so invaluable. Like it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Even as a competitor and even my competition coach, guess what? He has a competition coach. Like every successful business owner, every successful athlete, every successful artist, they all have a coach or a mentor. At the end of the day.
Olympic athletes have coaches, you guys.
Olympic athletes have coaches. It's as simple as that.
The top of the food chain in terms of athletics have coaches. I personally think that hiring a coach is as close as it gets to finding that shortcut that a lot of people are looking for.
Yeah. And like, I always say it like this. It's like, okay, so say your plumbing breaks, say your sink breaks, say you're like, oh, I've got a leaky faucet or my drain is plugged. Well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to call the plumber. You're going to call the plumber. And guess what? It's going to get fixed. Or you go on YouTube, you watch a couple videos for a couple hours, you go down to the hardware store, you pick up a piece, realize it's the wrong size piece when you get home, then go back to the hardware store, buy another piece, go back, and hopefully that one fits. But guess what would have saved
while
all
your
that
house
time?
is flooding.
Exactly, while your house is flooded. But guess what would have saved all that time, that effort, by just paying the plumber?
I love it. Chatto, if people want to connect with you and want to find out more about you, where can people find you?
So you can find me at Chatto Monk Fitness on TikTok and also Instagram, Chatto Monk on Facebook, or as well on my podcast at the Art of Discipline podcast on Spotify.
I love it. Chatto, thanks for coming on the show. Let's do this again soon. The next question then becomes, how and what are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. This is also where a lot of people go wrong. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I was finally able to get rid of all my stubborn fat without depriving myself of my favorite foods or spending countless hours doing cardio. It's a simple and proven 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals like you, and it's also the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. Hey, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week, and feel free to comment below if you have any questions about this video. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Virtual high five.